Hello viewers and welcome to a general review of PPPoE. Let's go to the next slide. What is PPPoE? It's a network protocol for encapsulation PPP frames inside Ethernet frames. Provides authentication, encryption and compression. Typical use of PPPoE involves leveraging the PPP facilities for authenticating the user with a username and password, predominantly via the PAP protocol and less often via the CHAP. Assignment of network configuration is done primarily through IPCP for IPv4 and or IPCP version 6 for IPv6. By the way, PPPoE is a point-to-point topology network. So what is Ethernet? Ethernet is a broadcast multi-access network which allows multiple devices to connect to or access the same network, as well as provide a broadcast ability in which a single packet is delivered to all nodes on the network. Authentication is not usually used, although 802.1x can be used in certain situations. Assignment of network configuration is done primarily through DHCP for IPv4 and or DHCP version 6 / stateless auto configuration for IPv6. So we're going to go over the Wireshark and practical examples. Let's start with the Wireshark first. Well, we're going to start with DHCP, since this is a more commonly used network assignment than Ethernet when a computer first boots up. So basically, this is MikroTik and DHCP server communicating between each other, and we have a final offer. So basically, the idea of DHCP is you receive a IP address, so in this case 192.168.0.10. You are given a subnet mask 255.255.255.0 or /24. A router to access the internet, which is a default gateway, and of course a DNS server, so you can type names. For example, www.google.com, and access Google's website. You need this IP address, and you need this subnet mask to communicate within the broadcast domain. If you wish to connect to the internet, you need a default gateway and a DNS server. So you can see that DHCP works in this way. So what about PPPoE? Well, you'll see it's a bit different than DHCP. The first part involves an active discovery. In this case, we found an access concentrator called MikroTik. The LCP, basically, which is a link control protocol, basic testing. We see a freeway handshake as a challenge, basically PPP CHAP, a response, and a success, done in hashes. Now, although DHCP doesn't work this way, but PPP supports authentication as an optional method. It is not actually mandatory to have authentication, but in most cases authentication is served to know who is using the line and to do billing purposes. And all of this I used to see here is the IPCP, which is the Internet Protocol Control Protocol, which deals with IP address assignments, just like as you do in DHCP, but there's some slight differences. The IP address that being provided for IPCP is only 172.16.02, and we have a DNS server. Unfortunately, we are missing a default gateway and we are missing a subnet mask. But don't worry, this still works. As you can see, we can connect to the internet despite not having a subnet mask and a default gateway, because PPPoE works at layer 2, so subnet mask doesn't matter. So as you can see here is the successful transmission. You can see some of the IP addresses we're connecting, so we are connected to the internet, and you can see the PPP over Ethernet session, and you can also see the point-to-point protocol being used, apart from the applications being tunneling. PPPoE can be said is a tunneling protocol, just like PPTP. However, PPPoE is mainly a WAN protocol, so it does function like a VPN into that respects, as packets are tunneled into this point-to-point protocol. A very funny protocol, mind you, but it's one of the best ones to see when you're doing user authentication and billings, particularly on ISP networks. So that's the Wireshark capture. We're now going to an ARP dump. Now on Ethernet, you can see this is our interface. This is our primary interface, and you can actually see a bunch of MAC addresses. Static meaning they basically fixed by the operating system, and dynamic, well, obviously this goes to one default gateway, this one goes to another default gateway, and this is basically a local DNS server. As you can see, This is our primary default gateway. This is one of my test ones I used, but nonetheless, you can see how it works. You can see how it works on an ARP space -A. So regardless how many websites that come up on this interface alone that I'm highlighting, this is all you will get. Now, PPPoE is a bit strange because PPPoE does not use, in fact, no point-to-point networks actually use an ARP. So to really bring down over here, this is our interface. This is our PPPoE interface 172.16.02, and you'll see a bunch of public IP addresses, which is the internet, but all being set to static, not dynamic, and there's no physical address. Well, guys, just as a reference, PPPoE or any form of PPP does not use ARP whatsoever. So this is basically some interpretation of Windows on the OS level. So just again, PPPoE does not use any form of ARP. ARP does not exist in PPPoE whatsoever. So I'll close this window. And now some information from external resources, which might explain the reason why you do not need a subnet mask or default gateway. And basically it says you may have noticed that the mask assignment to a client is OS/32. That is actually correct, and I'll show you some of the other examples around here. It does not matter what mask a server uses on its side of the connection. Just PPP is designed to operate this way. Guys, it's pretty simple here. With PPPoE, all you need to know is if I'm not in this address if I'm not in this access on my client, send it to the access concentrator. It only works on layer 2, so you don't need a subnet mask whatsoever. And here, basically, really here it says welcome to the world of PPP protocol. What you have observed is completely correct. PPP does not think in subnet terms. Of course, it's only layer 2, although it is a layer 2 protocol, so it shouldn't even think of IP, but still the choice of PPP does have its consequences, even for IP. So PPP is quite funny in how it works. You'll see IP addresses that can be used that cannot be used whatsoever on Ethernet. Some of the very funny ones can be, for example, 192.168.0.0, and then on the client have 192.168.255.255, which one is a network ID which you cannot use, and the other one is a broadcast ID which can't be used, yet it still works. Because really, PPP works at layer 2. So why do we need to use a subnet mask and a default gateway? As long as we're in the same interface, we communicate by ourselves. Anything else, send it through to the access concentrator. So sorry if I'm repeating a bit, but I just want to emphasize it here. So now we're going to move to the practical examples here. I think this is the best way to actually get an understanding how this works. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the virtual machine. So this is MikroTik, and I just press a key to basically get rid of the screensaver. So here we have 192.168.0.10. Yes, it's one of our DHCP captures. So this is the one that we've been using. And basically tells us which network we're in. So we know basically it's a /24. So this is our MikroTik access concentrator. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our interface. We're going to be using broadband connection 3 for this one. I'm just going to show a few basic examples. I'm not going to go very far because I want this video to be short as possible. So this is the service name. Don't worry about this unless we have multiple access concentrators in our LAN. We don't need to specify this field over here. The security was pretty simple. We're using CHAP and basically no encryption. By the way, PPPoE can support encryption as MPPE, which stands for Microsoft Point-to-Point Encryption. At 128 bits is the maximum it can go up to. And the stateful and stateless, look, that's out of our scope for this video. But nonetheless, this is all we need. This is what matters, and we just need to put it as no encryption so we don't have any errors. So now I'll just press the X button, and now we're going to have a look at the advanced options on broadband connection 3. We are connecting with the user 1, and the password is actually user 1, so it's to make it very simple. And as you can see here, we have not connected, no connection available, so we have no internet. So that's going to change as soon as we connect through to the access concentrator. So let's hit the connect button, and basically we're now in, and basically we just determined there is an internet connection, broadband connection for internet access. Now I'm going to now refresh the page, and basically there we are basically. And we're going to have a look at details, and we can see broadband connection 3. There's no physical address. Remember the ARP-A command, one of the videos I showed you. DHCP, well, we don't have DHCP because it's IPCP. We have an IPv4 address, and we have a subnet mask. By the way, the subnet mask, this mask has been chosen by Windows, not by the access concentrator. Windows has automatically came up for its routing purposes a /32 mask. The default gateway not included. Don't worry about the default gateway. There is a default gateway. It's different how it works. So we've got to think in MAC addresses in these terms. And we have a DNS server, and we don't have wins, and basically we have network. We have yes, I have actually enabled some options for my other videos. But besides that, we have a local link IPv6 address. And here basically we see it's a WAN mini port. We're locked into PPPoE using CHAP. You can use compression, but it's pointless. It slows your link down. You can't decompress, YouTube, because it's a video. You can enable link aggregation. This is your client IP address. So this is my one. This is the access concentrator, MikroTik. This is my IPv6 address. It's linked local, so don't worry about these ones anyway. It's really out of scope for the video. And this is our default router as well, but again out of our scope. And these basically don't worry about these ones. PPPoE, this is very good for PPTP, ILTP, IPsec, or SSTP, or IKEv2. But this is basically, there's no addresses because it's all done by MAC address layer. This is the virtual interface we're using, which is going to be VMnet version. Here we are. So this is where PPPoE is traveling to this interface over here. So what we're going to do now is we're now going to go to command. We're going to go to command prompt. And I'm going to show you an ipconfig/all, and I'm going to go to the top of all, just to the PPPoE one, and we can see PPP adapter for worldwide connection 3, and we can see basically the description. We can see again just basically the same thing as before, basically the IP address, the subnet mask, default gateway 0000. Don't worry about that one, and we can see NetBIOS over TCP IP enabled. So there's quite a few things we can see around here, and we can ping. Let me ping my router first, which is in a separate network. So 192.168.0.1, and we can see the router is pinging perfectly fine. Now, people, for those who are wondering, can I ping a Google address without a default gateway? Yes, I can ping it. So even though I don't have a default gateway, it still pings. So because we're setting it to the access concentrator, so I'm going to close that window, Winbox here, just to give an example how it looks like here. So connect, and you will see the first thing. We can see the first interface given to us, and we can see the respective traffic going in and out, basically TXRX, and we can verify we're connected as user 1. And basically, this is basically the MAC address of my virtual interface, which is VNet 4, and this is the IP address. So it's pretty simple anyway. There's not much really to do here. I won't show the other ones because it's really out of scope, and I don't want this video to go too long, and you guys basically stopping it halfway through. But basically, this determines with the name of the access concentrator or the service ID, the secrets, and the profiles used. So you can determine encryption, the type of authentication module you want to use, so whether it be CHAP, PAP, MSChat version 2, MSChat version 1. You can even use EAP, but you need a radius server, but that's out of scope as well. And now basically I've got to Google here, just to show I've got internet. Here we are, and I'll just type in Sydney weather and enter, and there it is, guys. So that's basically it. So basically this is how you will, this is a simple video on PPPoE. It's only a general overview, it's not an in-depth view. Sorry if I repeated some of the times some of the stuff a bit over again, but I just want to emphasize how it works. This is, I think PPPoE is not something we see on LAN access, on a LAN network. I think, honestly speaking, if I was to go to multiple type of environments, it'll all be Ethernet. There's not many ATMs or frame relays these days. Those are gone basically. So PPPoE basically is just pretty much one of the last standing protocols that is being used. But anyway, nonetheless, we want to this is the example of this system works, and now I hope pretty much you enjoyed the video, because this is the end of it. Thanks for watching. All links and resources will be available on the video description. Like, comment, subscribe would be appreciated. Our next video will be on PPPoE security. I think this is actually something basically we need to do, because it's quite interesting. You will notice that PPPoE does not need a mandatory authentication. And I think you'll be surprised some of the high level or one of the best security devices can fall just with a no auth trick in Linux. But nonetheless, that will be our next video on PPPoE on security. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks so much for watching.